It's time for Twig This Week in Google, and we are going to talk about the new Galaxy Nexus phone and ice cream sandwich. Peter Rojas from Gadget.com joins the regular cast, Jeff and Gina and me. Twig is next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, episode 117, recorded October 19th, 2011. I used it once at FuCamp. This Week in Google is brought to you by GoToMeeting. Today's mobile world makes easy-to-use collaboration software more than nice to have. It's a necessity. For your free 30-day trial, visit GoToMeeting.com and use the promo code TWIG. And by Ford, featuring Wi-Fi connectivity with available Sync and My Ford Touch. Now your car can be a Wi-Fi hotspot. Check it out in the new 2012 Ford Focus and at Ford.com/technology. And by Netflix. Watch thousands of TV episodes and movies on your PC, Mac, iPad, iPhone, or TV instantly. All streamed directly to you, saving you time, money, and hassle. For your free 30-day trial, visit Netflix.com/twit. It's time for This Week in Google, and oh, there's lots to talk about this week. I'm back, baby, and so is Gina Trapani from smarterware.org and thinkupapp.com. Hi, Gina.
Good to see you. I'm full of ice cream sandwich.
Yum.
Can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah,
Yum.
Gina was on last night during the announcement from Hong Kong with our All About Android team, so I watched. We'll have lots to say about that, of course. Also here, Jeff Jarvis, the author of a brand new book called Public Parts, also What Would Google Do, and journalism professor at the City University of New York. His blog is buzzmachine.com. By the time, you know, if you keep writing books like this, Jeff, we're just not going to have any time for a show.
It's fine. I think I'll quit.
I'll just have to do your CV for the first hour. Anyway, great to see you again. I missed you guys.
Always. Same back.
Also joining us, Mr. Peter Rojas from gdgt.com or gadget.com.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Who is, of course, like us, watching carefully to see. First of all, let me ask about the Galaxy Nexus. Of course, the announcement was yesterday. Two announcements, really. The big one was ice cream sandwich. It was really Google's announcement. But it's going to sit on a Google Experience phone from Samsung. They're calling the Galaxy Nexus. But they left out so much. Like, where can I get it? When can I get it? And how much is it going to cost? And so do you know those details, Peter?
No, they haven't announced it. We do know that Verizon is going to carry it in the U.S.
Okay, that was not a rumor. That's true.
That's true, yes.
Okay.
And there are actually going to be two different versions of the phone. There's going to be an HSPA Plus version and an LTE version.
Right?
Yeah, though it might not.
It could be T-Mobile.
It could be T-Mobile, though they might not have a carrier partner for HSPA Plus in the U.S. It could be just
unlocked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So we'll see.
Google's certainly done that before, unlocked phones.
Yeah, and then they've also had, I mean, with the Nexus S, they originally put it out with a GSM version and then ended up doing a WiMAX version with Sprint a few months later. So what they have available next month might not be the only thing they have available, you know, early next year.
Right. But Google, we think, will not be selling it. I noticed that when I went to google.com/ what was it, Nexus, I think, they asked for my name and my email address so that they could let me know.
Yeah.
Ooh. So that made me feel like, oh, maybe they'll sell it, but they won't, will they?
Yeah, I think they actually probably will. But,
really?
You know, it's if they have Verizon as a carrier partner, they might have an exclusive on it initially. Right. So if you want an unlocked version, you have to wait until the HSPA Plus one comes out. Another thing is the LTE version is going to be slightly thicker than the HSPA Plus version.
Is that for antenna reasons?
Probably battery life.
Ah. Yeah, that's a big problem with 4G and all the 4G phones. Battery life just terrible.
It's getting better, though. I mean, the first few phones that came out earlier this year was really bad, like the Thunderbolt. But I have the Bionic, and it's actually, it's better. It's not amazing, but it is getting a lot better.
Well, they're bigger phones. The Bionic's huge.
It's huge, and I think they're also just getting better at optimizing the OS.
Yeah, I noticed that my Galaxy 2S turns off 4G pretty regularly. I mean, you turn it on and it'll, if it's sleeping or if it's not, you're not doing data, it will turn it off. It turns it off as much as it can.
Yeah, but I mean, 3G was the same thing. The first 3G phones were battery hogs.
Right. I guess you're right.
It just takes them a little while to get the hang of it.
I guess you're right. All right. Well, we're watching the video right now. It's fast. It's a dual core. We think TIO map processor running at 1.2 gigahertz. We believe correct me anytime I say anything wrong, Peter, or anybody else. 1 gigabyte of RAM. Unclear. They've never mentioned SD card in this, and that makes me a little nervous. Unclear whether there's an SD card on it. We'll have a nice curvy, swoopy doopy shape. The thing that actually sells me more than anything is 1280 by 800 screen. But a big one. It's not. It's what is it? 4 3/4 inches, right? It's huge.
It's it's a 4.65 inch.
4.6. Okay.
Yeah, it's big.
6.5.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about it is, I think that is a more comfortable screen size than people realize. There are other. I mean, the Galaxy S2 came out with some of them came out with a 4.5 inch screen, and it works pretty well.
Right.
I find it really comes down to just the heft of the phone itself. Really, not as much the size of the screen.
It's funny you don't because I have the Sprint Galaxy S2, and because it's so thin. It's not. You don't go. Oh, this thing is huge. You feel like it's kind of light and thin.
Well, the Dell whatchamacallit was 5.
The streak is too big. I looked at the streak.
So
it looks like one of those.
4.5 and 5.
It looks like a Hershey bar they sell at Costco. You know, it looks just oversized a little bit.
Yeah, but you know what? Samsung doing a phone called the Note, the Galaxy Note, which has a 5-inch screen, and it's a much smaller. It's much smaller than the Dell Streak, the 5-inch Streak. So. Even a 5-inch screen, I think that might be like where you break the bank, so to speak. But even that, I mean, if you can make the casing small enough and make the phone itself thin enough, I think people will use a 4.5, 5-inch screen.
I do have to say that when I'm becoming more of an iPhone fan. The new 4S has features that make me willing to give up Android. The notification system is better. Finally, voice dictation everywhere, which I used a lot on Android, and actually it's better. I hate to say it. It's more accurate than Android. The better camera, but the screen is so tiny. I know it's high res, but it's so tiny that I kind of go back and forth. Galaxy S2, iPhone, Galaxy S2, iPhone. And now, my poor old LG G2X, it's just too small. That's I think a 4-inch screen. It's just too small now. I don't want to use it anymore. So I guess we are getting used to bigger screens.
Yeah, and the nice thing about the Galaxy Nexus is that it has the larger screen and the higher resolution.
And high res. Now it's not Retina display high res, right? What's the
I
dot
don't
per inch? Do we know?
I mean, it's basically a marketing term, right? It's not like some scientific.
No. But it is. I can't remember what the dot pitch is, but I
think it was like 330, or something like that, pixels per inch. So I guess it's close. I think somebody put in the chat room is 319. So it's
that's
close.
pretty close.
Yeah.
And I tell you, at that size, but 1280 listen, 1280 by 720. That's a computer monitor.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's pretty desirable. So you notice I'm focusing on hardware because we're going to get to Ice Cream Sandwich in a second. But just focusing on the hardware on this Nexus Prime, it looks like a pretty good phone.
Nexus Prime would be a better name, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be a better.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Galaxy Nexus. They didn't use the Prime word.
It's so hard to say Galaxy first. I just want to say Nexus
really
first.
Is.
Yeah, having been through the Nexus 1 and the Nexus S, it's just
Yeah, so it's a weird thing. I mean, Samsung is really touchy now about this stuff, especially given that this phone was in the pipeline before they, Google announced they were buying Motorola. So I'm sure
This is probably the last non-Motorola Google Experience phone, you think?
It's possible. We don't know for sure, but I think that Samsung wanted to kind of put their imprint on the phone,
right?
With the name.
Right, so the Galaxy is
Yes.
the Samsung line, and Nexus is the right.
Exactly. They kind of split the difference, right?
Yeah, they're getting ready to fork.
Yeah.
They're getting ready to fork. But it actually looks a lot like the Galaxy S2, even to the textured back, the camera. It's just bigger. It's like a bigger one. Now these buttons. Okay, now we can talk about Ice Cream Sandwich.
Let's do that.
But I wanted to get the hardware out of the way, so we didn't give it short shrift. Yeah. There are lots of great phone hardware. The new Razer coming out soon, which is pretty sweet. I like the Galaxy S2. I think the iPhone 4S is an interesting thing, and of course there'll be an iPhone 5 probably mid next year. So it's heating up, really heating up. I have to say, and I'll just throw it out there, and you guys can shoot me down. Little disappointed by Ice Cream Sandwich. I don't think to me, it didn't feel like a solid response to what Apple's done with iOS 5.
What was it missing, Leo?
Really?
Yeah. I think aesthetic, well, okay, a couple of things. I think the aesthetics of Honeycomb I've always been disappointed with. It's an ugly-ass system. And it's not just me that feels this way. They would be selling more tablets if it looked good.
Well, of Honeycomb.
I would agree with you there.
And I said it was a stopgap. It was an emergency.
I understand, but I don't think Ice Cream Sandwich has fixed enough of those oddball aesthetic things. I think there's still a lot of UI cruft. It doesn't feel as refined to me. And the fact that they spent how long? 10 minutes talking about the font tells me they may be feeling a little self-conscious about design.
Oh, they definitely are. It was a very design-centric presentation.
Yeah.
Which was telling. But I have to say, I agree with you about Honeycomb. I don't think Honeycomb is necessarily good. I think it's the hologram theme, a holographic theme.
Yeah.
It looks sort of robotic. And and I thought the same thing, that spending all that time in a typeface and leading off with a typeface seems so strange. But then as I looked through the apps and noticed the typeface throughout, I thought, oh, this does feel a lot more human. Despite the name, it seems less robotic to me.
Despite the name of the font.
Yeah, despite the name of the typeface
makes
being
a big difference. I changed the font. I changed the font on my Galaxy S2. There's a little app that you can download other fonts, and it does make a difference. There is something to be said for that. And
it does.
Well, I hate to say it's Gutenberg time, but the first font was a scribal font, and everything we do is old wine, new casks. We keep imitating things that worked in other forms.
Well, and didn't Steve Jobs say that really it all started for him when he took a calligraphy class? I mean,
yeah.
Yep, he did.
Maybe fonts are that important.
Well, I think it's actually, if you look at one of the reasons why, say, Symbian looked so dated is because they were using a font, that same Nokia Sans font, for so long.
Right.
And, it gave people sort of a sense that the OS itself was out of date, which it was, but it kind of reinforced, that sense that it was behind the times.
And I will defer judgment on the UI and on the fit and finish until I get one in my hands, of course. But I was hoping it would be more of a departure from Honeycomb. It feels honeycomby to me.
Yeah.
What else was missing?
Does. Yeah, what else was missing?
Well, I really hoped they'd have a response to Siri. Maybe this is too soon for them to get that out. I think I was and I am still a huge fan of Android's voice control. I think it's really good. I think it does a great job. I think it, it's impressive. And then I use Siri, and this happens all the time with Apple. They take something that's 90% of the way there, and they get that last 10%.
Yes.
And it makes a huge difference.
Yes.
And it's one of the reasons that I'm maybe considering even shifting back to an iPhone is that dictation is so good. And Siri is so responsive. And I believe that Google has this technology. I believe they could do this, or they're very close to. And I've talked to their speech recognition scientists. The guy who runs it came from Nuance. They have the capability.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I notice, and maybe tell me if I'm wrong, it feels like Google Voice transcriptions have gotten better and better and better, right? They used to be just like, what? And
yeah,
now they actually are kind of close to the message.
Yeah, they have gotten better.
Yeah.
But that was definitely my impression of Siri. It was like, oh, this is right, that last 10%, just like you said. So Google releases stuff, early when it's not perfect, right? And Apple goes late, but they bring it to that finish. So one of the features about Ice Cream Sandwich that I thought was really cool is face unlock, right? In theory. But in practice, I saw two demos, right? One was during the announcement yesterday. It didn't work, and he cracked some joke about the makeup being more. And then I saw Andy Rubin pull it out at the Asia D conference and say, oh, check out face unlock. and it didn't work the first time he tried it. It defaulted to the to the other lock screen. He said, "Oh, let me try it again." And also, kind of watching that circle go around your face. Like,
yeah, when you watch the video, you can tell that's going to take 3 seconds.
Yeah, I'm not going to wait 3 seconds to unlock my phone. I'm just not going to hold my.
My theory on that is they needed to find some safe use for facial recognition to get us used to the concept.
Ah, that's a good theory.
Oh, interesting. That's interesting.
It's creepy line.
Although we've had facial recognition in desks and laptops for years. I mean, literally.
Yeah, but who uses it?
Nobody, because it doesn't work.
Oh, that's true too.
So, I mean, I think the pattern is really easy. Whoop, whoop, and I'm in, and it's fast. And the face recognition, if I have to go, okay, look at me.
Yeah.
And then maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Even if it works 80% of the time, that means one time in 4 I have to do it over, one time in 5.
Well, isn't it even true? I mean, how many FaceTime calls have you made on an Apple phone?
Few, none, 0, 1, 2.
Right, and I thought it was going to be a big deal. Yeah. You can see the world from both ends, and yada yada yada. And I was wrong. And maybe we will come to that, but somehow we're just not using these to picture ourselves.
No, in fact, you're right. There's a FaceTime test that I now apply. In fact, when I look at every new Apple feature, I say, "Is this another FaceTime?" Demo's good. Sounds cool.
Yeah,
ooh, ah. No one uses it.
And then no one uses it. And Face Unlock could definitely be that, right? Panoramic photos and time-lapse video I thought was really cool. And the text response when refusing calls, also really cool. Those are kind of my three big features.
So panorama, I mean, Motorola has been doing this in their phone for a while. Of course, there are plenty of panorama apps as well. Sure. So that's nice. I think much more important than that in the camera is how fast it is.
Yes,
Apple was touting this. Apparently this, I don't know, maybe Peter, you can explain more. Is this hardware is getting faster, or they're really paying attention to these apps? But it's very clear if you're going to replace, and I think that these phones are, point-and-shoot cameras, then the time to camera and the time to picture and the time between pictures is very important. This is even faster than the iPhone 4S, at least based on a video that I saw.
Yeah, I mean, it's becoming a huge point of differentiation for companies, and so HTC has made a really big emphasis on having a great camera in their latest phones. The HTC Amaze and the HTC Sensation both have really emphasized the quality of the camera and how fast you can take photos with it. And the Amaze, for example, has dedicated photo and camcorder buttons, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And so it's really, really important. I think that at the high end, having something that offers not just good quality photos, so just having having a good sensor, you actually have to have something with really fast shutter speed and reduce that lag and let people get that shot instantaneously. It's one of my complaints actually about Motorola's phones is that the cameras are really slow.
I can't believe you stuck with that Bionic. That's the worst camera I've ever seen.
No, I mean,
I
have like 6 phones on my desk, Leo. So,
but do you agree? I mean, the Bionic is like 3 seconds to picture.
Oh, all of them are like that. I don't know what it is about the Motorola, how the software is interacting with the hardware or whatever, but they're all very slow.
Well, I think a new standard has been set. And based on the video that I saw, and I wish I could remember who shot it, this Nexus, Galaxy Nexus is going to be the fastest of the bunch. Now, this is the time-lapse feature. This is the video that they showed.
This is cool. And I'm sure
cool
there are apps that do this, right? But it's still cool. The fact is that people are going to use the features that are baked into the phone more than go download the app.
You know why I think this doesn't pass the FaceTime test? Because in order to do time-lapse, people are going to realize you need a tripod.
Yeah.
Good point.
Who has a phone tripod? This guy was using a very fancy slider mechanism. We've used it. I know about it. It does great. But who has this?
You need one of those Gorilla Clip things for phones, right?
Yeah. Some people have it, I guess.
Yeah.
But isn't it sometimes that stuff has features just to help sell it, even if people...
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's like FaceTime's a perfect example, right? Like people... Or having the iPad having a camera in the first place, which everyone was like, oh, I can't wait until the iPad 2 has a camera. And then like 2 months later, everyone's like, well, I never used the camera in my iPad 2. And it's just one of the things where it's like, it makes you want to buy something.
Right. Nobody uses the camera in the iPad 2. It is so bad.
And
there needs to be a word for that. I think it's like wowware.
Wowware. I like it.
Wowware. Yeah, now there are Tumblr blogs of pictures of people taking pictures with their tablets because it looks that awkward.
Actually, we had a photo walk in Vegas, and somebody did take a picture with this tablet. So the Panorama is nice software, but again, this is not so different from a software that's already available on Android.
But how about the little stuff? How about the little improvements?
Well, you said the third thing you said, which I really agree is cool, is that respond with a call by swiping it with a message, like "Go away from me, you creep."
Right, I'm driving. You know, or someone calls you and you refuse the call and say, "Hey, I'm on the road. Call you later," or something like that.
Is that WowWare?
I don't think so. I think that's again hard to say because I haven't used it yet. But that seems like just a good. I think that's something I'm definitely going to use. And just the general phone makeover, that phone app makeover, where visual voicemail is integrated into your call log, and you can see the text.
I got excited about that when I first saw it, and then I thought about workflow. You're not, I mean, I'm sure that they have a separate visual voicemail app, but how often do you go to a person's contact to listen to the voicemail from that person?
Well, so you see when you've missed a call from someone, right? So I'm gonna get a notification, missed call from Leo. I often will tap that, and then I wind up in my call log, and then from there I can hit play. But although I don't know, I'm not sure if this is how it works. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't used it yet, but.
When I first saw that, I thought, oh, that's really cool. Now, this is also very cool. This is the can't talk right now, go away. But this data usage, they spent a long time on the graph. That also has been available in some versions, some flavors of Android already.
Nerd bait.
Nerd bait. Yeah, graphs. You guys said that last night. Love graphs. Loves graphs. They have a very Windows Phone 7-ish People Hub that I thought was kind of interesting. Oh, wait.
Yeah, everyone wants to look at pictures of their friends, right?
By the way, they're saying the Galaxy S2 settings call, what was it? Settings has ignore messages.
Yeah, you have that already on your phone. You should.
Is that a TouchWiz?
It seems to me that it's a Samsung.
It's a Samsung
thing.
Yeah.
You know, I even wonder about the norm of that. I've been lamenting recently that I really want to bring back the busy signal.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Exactly. And just say, I'm not available right now. I'm really not available right now.
You can do that with Google Voice. You can sort of say, I'm not,
Yeah, Google Voice does right now. Yeah, I use that all the time.
It's kind of sad. And so the norm is, it's, Leo, I think you and I are the same way. Is I'm rude, and sometimes some people have to try me 3 times on email before I say, okay, I'll deal with it now. And so now is this another expectation that we're going to have to, well, you didn't pick up my call, and you didn't swipe me either.
I think Android 5 now with busy signal.
Yeah.
I love it.
And a long curly wire.
My wife wants a curly wire because she says the cordless phone keeps getting lost. She says, just give me a phone on the wall in the kitchen with a long curly wire. Then I'll know where the phone is. She's got a point. Bring back long curly wires. All right. So what else? We've got Roboto. Oh, at Near Field Communications, a.k.a. Beam.
That is a FaceTime, as far as I'm concerned.
Android Beam with Galaxy Nexus. If you know somebody else with a Galaxy Nexus, you can put your phones back to back, the beast with 2 backs, and transfer what you're doing. That's never going to happen. I'm sorry. I don't let my phone touch anybody else.
It demoed nicely, but that is the definition of WowWare. And I do like the idea, and I think that I use Bump occasionally, which is where you bump the phones together. And it's Android as well as iPhone.
Well,
but
occasionally, Leo.
Like once. So no, actually, I have used it.
To try it.
No, I have used it. Okay, here's a really good use for this. Somebody's got some, like say, it takes a great picture, and you want it. Bump is great. You can load the picture in your Bump if you've got Bump on your phone and you bump it. I used it at FuCamp to give somebody an application. So there occasionally where you want to get something off of your phone and get it onto their phone, that's not a bad way to do it.
I used it once at FuCamp. That's all I'm going to say, Leo.
Well, all right, you're right. And this is the problem. Yeah, all right. Yeah, there you go.
It's funny.
This one time at FuCamp, I used Bump.
I used Bump,
at
and it was
FuCamp,
awesome.
This one time.
If the world was FuCamp, we'd all be bumping.
That's the problem. There are not enough geeks in the world. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joshua. I'm Peter. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, remember WebOS had this, where you were able to sort of tap to share between a touchpad and a Palm Pre, and that was sort of touted as a really big feature.
I remember a Comdex. This is how long ago this is, where IBM had things that they put in their shoes. And then when you shaked hands, the connection would be made, and from your shoe to the other guy's shoe, your contact information would go. So you'd shake hands and collect people's
smells
contact
along the way.
So this is something that business people, I think, want. It's a way to exchange information friction.
All right, does this mean that they run out of possible features for phones?
Yes.
That they're just trying to make up crap?
They're making up shit. Well, yeah. I think, though, that there are some seminal features. I think Siri is a breakthrough, and I think the response to Siri is what we have to watch Google with carefully. Mike Elgin said something very interesting, though, when he saw Siri. He said, Apple, as always, pioneered it, but watch out because Google is in a better position to capitalize on it because they know so much more about you.
They have more about you, and they have more voice samples.
Oh, and that's true, too. They could, in theory, do a better job. So I don't think that the race is over, but I think the race has begun, and I'm very interested to see Google get into this race. They say voice typing, watch text instantly appear as you speak with voice input. I don't know if that's good or not. I don't know what that is. Both existing Android voice commands and Siri and the dictation built into iPhone wait till you're done. Then they send it to the server and they get it back. This is like right away.
Yeah, they're trying to make it more real time.
Potentially good if it's as accurate.
Yeah, that was funny. There was a mistake in when they were demoing it last night.
Oh, there was? Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So, I mean,
it's noisy.
It's not perfect. I mean, I think, the real breakthrough with Siri, right, is that it tries to use more natural language for this stuff, that you don't have to think about commands. And also the fact that it's just baked more deeply into the OS so that, it hooks into all more of Apple's services and apps and stuff like that. I think that Google or whomever, I mean, obviously Microsoft has done a lot of voice stuff with Windows Phone as well.
That's right.
These guys can catch up. It's more about, how are you thinking about the product and how it integrates with the rest of the OS, and really about, and not just to be about voice commands or about transcription, but really about that natural language,
right.
Trying to understand what it is you're saying. And I think that's really the thing that Apple has done really well.
Yeah, there's the error right at the front, the first word, map.
Yeah, he said like, hey man, and it came out map.
And then it says Yahoo at the bottom.
Yeah, what's that?
He went like, yeah, or yeah. Or something.
Oh man,
it was really,
they had several demo fails.
But it was really funny because he like kind of had some like, and it picked up as Yahoo.
Yahoo. It's my favorite thing in the world not to correct typing and dictation errors and just send it, and let the chips fall where they may. If you get an incomprehensible message from me, guys, you'll know why. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jeff.
No, sorry. So question I ask you every 5 devices that come out. Developer check here.
4.0 came out, right? SDK's out already.
Yeah, the SDK's out.
Have you looked at it?
I did. I downloaded it this morning. I wanted to see what my app would look like. And I mean, the great thing about Android is that, there's always talk about how many true tablet apps does Android have versus for the iPad. But the reality is that the way the Android, SDK is designed, you design for every different screen size. So apps are built relative, right? So apps just fill. So my app completely works. It doesn't take advantage of the things that Honeycomb and Ice Cream Sandwich offer, like the action bar and fragments and things like that. But it completely works, which is nice. As a developer, I'm much more motivated to start optimizing for the big screen, the ice cream sandwich, Honeycomb, action bar, and fragments. Like, I'm much more motivated to build that stuff into my app, which my app has kind of the old school, the action bar, that you have to do kind of by hand, but now that's all built into the SDK. So I'm definitely going to be upgrading my app. Also, widgets you can resize now, and they scroll, which is really nice, because before, as a developer, you'd have to be like, well, let me make the small version of my widget and the big version of my widget and let the user decide. So that's super nice. But I'm excited. I'm excited about diving in. Much more excited about diving into ICS development than I was Honeycomb development.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's good. What are fragments?
Fragments, it's kind of relative rendering of your app screen. So if you have a big screen, you can do, say, like a split view, like a left side with a list of items, then you tap on it and you can see, details on the right side. Like if you think about Gmail, you have your list of messages, and you can tap on a message and see the conversation on the other side. If you flip the tablet portrait, or if you're on a small screen, you only see one fragment. Whereas if you have a big screen, then you can see two fragments together.
So that helps you to build screens that are screen size variable.
Exactly. You can build those for lower versions of Android, but you have to do it by hand. And the way that fragments work is that they can talk to one another. One fragment knows if you've tapped on something in the other, and they resize to different screens gracefully. And it's you can share code more easily. It's just much easier and nicer for developers.
That is neat.
Yeah.
So it's essentially a view region. It's a view. And you have multiple views on the screen, but they are objects that can communicate. They can send messages. They can communicate
to one another, exactly. They can send messages to one another. They're aware of each other's state. They can render depending on what's going on in the others. And the action bar is pretty cool too. Like if you saw in the Gmail demo, if you select multiple messages in the action bar, which is the area across the top of the screen, it would say like three messages, 4 messages, 5 messages selected, and then the buttons would change based on what you could do with those messages. Like, I want to delete all these. I want to archive all these. So,
I love that.
So it's like the action bar is kind of like can also be aware of what's happening in different views and change and become more contextually relevant.
That's cool.
Yeah, which is really, it's really nice. When you use Gmail and Calendar and Maps and I guess Music and G Plus are going to be updated for this too. You really, on a Honeycomb tablet, I have the Galaxy Tab, you really do see, it's nice. But apps have to be written to take advantage of those capabilities in the SDK.
And it's going to be up to Google to set the standard with their reference apps, basically. The Google
exactly.
Apps. Yeah.
Exactly.
Andy Rubin says it's filled with butter. We want everything to be as smooth as butter. He said the software includes all kinds of other features. I guess there's so much in there we didn't see it all. From being able to control music from the lock screen, like that, to allowing developers to tap the phone's graphics processor for image-intensive tasks. You know what I like, actually? Google's looking at the third-party apps and taking the best of each and incorporating it. One of the responses I have is, well, I could do that, I could do that, I could do that, but putting it in the OS, it makes it much better. And there's underlying stuff like fragments and action bars, which give it whole new capabilities. That's exciting. All right, maybe I'm feeling better about it.
We've kind of convinced you?
Yeah, I was going to get one anyway, but...
I was really tempted by the 4S as well, the iPhone 4S. And I was wondering how I was going to break it to the Twig audience that when my contract is up in January, I might get an iPhone 4S.
Your timing's excellent. By January, it'll be a little more clear, I think.
Yeah, it will be more clear. I mean, the iPhone thing for me is like, it's the last Jobs phone, and I'm also just doing some iOS development. And I realized that I had a developer send me a pull request on my iOS app, and it was like pull down to search. And I was like, that's what you do in iOS to search? Like I realized that I was completely unaware of the iOS conventions. So part of it is just like, I feel like out of touch.
Yeah.
But Ice Cream Sandwich kind of swayed my decision. So I don't know. I think by January, you're right. It will be more obvious.
Scoble, of course, said that immediately afterwards, this is the thing that may have him drop the iPhone.
Well, as you know, I dropped the iPhone for Android a long time ago because I liked the openness. I liked there were things that, like the notifications, were just light years ahead, but Apple's caught up. And in fact, in some ways, Apple's notification system is, I think, better.
Really?
Oh yeah. Their dictation is better now. That was another area. I do miss the ability to put live desktops, widgets on the screen, to be able to customize the desktop. I miss that. But of course, that is an area where you could really, people can really mess their phone up good. So maybe that's why Apple doesn't allow you to do it. Peter, are you use all kinds of phones, so you don't have an allegiance to anyone?
I tend to use an Android phone as my primary phone. Actually, I wrote something on Gadget last week about why I wasn't buying an iPhone 4S.
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listed like a bunch of reasons. This was pre-Ice Cream Sandwich, so I wasn't taking into account like what would be in 4.0. I was talking about why I use Android now, and I talk about Gmail. And if you use Gmail, you're not going to get a better Gmail experience.
No, that's true.
Little things like I like to use SwiftKey for my keyboard. And I just cannot get into the keyboard on iPhone.
That was actually the biggest sticking point for me. I hate it that you can't change it. That's a terrible keyboard. Yeah. For crying out loud, it's always in caps. Apple, everybody in the world knows that you leave it in lowercase, and then when you press the shift, it goes into caps as a way of telling the user you're in caps now. It's little things like that I thought Apple cared about stuff like that.
Yeah, they're just, well, you know, there are like lots of little things like that. And again, like, you know, we talked about screen size earlier, but 3.5 inch, I actually think that the market is kind of spoken in terms of you know,
I agree.
I think there are very few people. I think that people go, you know, the iPhone is a great, you know, great device, and I understand why people buy it and a lot of reasons to use it. But I think that consumers have shown a general preference more around 4-inch screens in terms of what they're buying. Like when they have a choice to buy Android phones, they're tending, you know, they can buy 3.5-inch Android phones and 3.7-inch Android phones. You know, but they're tending to buy 4 and 4.3-inch Android phones.
You ask a great question, which we're going to get to in just a moment, about the Razer, which some people are saying will be the, you know, the Verizon phone to get, at least until the Nexus, Galaxy Nexus comes out.
Yeah, I was at that event yesterday.
Yeah, let's talk about that in just a second. There were other events, you know, out there. But we're going to take a break. It's great to have you. Peter Rojas from Gadget.com, GDGT.com. Jeff Jarvis, of course, and Gina Trapani are regulars on the show.
I'm frozen.
But you're frozen in a kind of pensive.
We'll fix that during the
Yes, pensive is the word.
Pensive.
I know. A little sad
And
that
I
you
like that.
Yes.
I like that.
We want to give Gina a hug right now.
So melancholy.
It's cow eyes.
Okay. All right.
That's a meme waiting to happen.
The cow-eyed meme.
Emoji.
I'd like to talk to you about GoToMeeting. GoToMeeting.com, ladies and gentlemen. So excited. From Citrix, the folks who do, of course, all that remote access stuff. And GoToMeeting takes remote access and adds it to your Android phone and your iPhone, as well as your iPad and, of course, your desktop computer. So now, yes, on your Android phone, you could take a meeting with GoToMeeting. And, of course, that HD Faces. If you've got your laptop there, you can see the video. I mean, just there's so many nice things about GoToMeeting from Citrix. I want you to try it. And I really want you to try the Android app. So here's the deal. First, go to the website, GoToMeeting.com. Click the try it free button, offer code TWIG, and put, you know, you actually, I guess this is if you want to hold a meeting. Put that on your, you know, your desktop or your laptop that you'll hold the meeting from. Do it on one with a camera, too, so you can see the HD faces, because it's really cool to see people's faces. But then, also, once you got the account, set it up on your Android mobile device. And don't forget to tell the people who attend your meetings that they can use an Android, an iPhone, or an iPad, as well as their laptops or desktops. It's so cool to be on a phone and see the desktop sharing, see the video. It is really awesome. Attend meetings in the, you know, on the go, at the airport, at a taxi cab, wherever you are. And it's free right now for the first 30 days. Go to GoToMeeting.com. Visit, I should say. Don't say go to, because then people type go to meeting. Visit GoToMeeting.com and use the offer code TWIG, T-W-I-G, to get your 30 days free. You don't have to have it installed ahead of time, you know, to attend a meeting. It's really cool. Really cool. Give it a try. GoToMeeting.com and use the offer code TWIG. So Motorola is not yet a part of Google, Peter.
No, I mean, this is a transaction that is going to take a long time to close, and they have to get regulatory approval and all that stuff.
And yet Eric Schmidt was there, right?
It was weird because he was there, but he didn't get up and speak. He's actually, I mean, he has spoken at other phone launches before and gotten up, but, you know, he was there. I was about 15 feet away from him. He was sitting there in the front row with a gigantic security guard sitting right behind him. And from a security detail, a huge beefy guy with the Bluetooth headset. And I kept waiting for the moment where they're going to be like, and now we have, you know, Eric Schmidt to come up and talk about, you know, talk about ice cream sandwich or something like that. And he never got up. And then as soon as they finished the announcements, he bolted. He was gone. And, you know, it wasn't entirely clear why he was there. In fact, they actually didn't talk about Google very much at the Motorola event. And, you know, the Razer doesn't have ice cream sandwich when it launches. We'll get it sometime early next year. But it was just this sort of weird, like, we kept waiting for them to talk about Google, but they didn't at all.
Why they could have at least done an Ed Sullivan say, and in our audience tonight we've got Eric, but Eric, stand up and take a bow or something. Acknowledge.
Yeah. Well, I kept thinking, like, is it really him? And then I saw the security guard. And I was like,
yeah. So that's actually raises a good question. How long before we start seeing ICS on Android phones? Are they going to do upgrades? Are they going to? Is the Galaxy 2S going to be upgraded?
So supposedly every phone that runs Gingerbread now is upgradable. But it's always the same thing. It's whether the carriers and the manufacturers, get it together. Google's been really pushing for manufacturers to commit to at least 18 months of upgrades. That's what
they said at I/O, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think we'll probably start to see the first upgrades for like Q1 of next year. It's kind of like with Gingerbread, it took 3 to 6 months, but most phones, not most phones, but most of the phones that people bought, or like earlier this year or even later last year, have tended to get those upgrades.
It's interesting now how there's a certain commonality. All these phones have a certain thing. They're very thin. They've got big screens. This one's got a nice feature. It's Kevlar in the back and Gorilla Glass in the front, so you could use it for body armor.
Yeah.
Could stop a bullet.
I could use that.
So I played with it. I mean, the Kevlar, the texture on the back feels pretty good. I still think that I'm not a huge fan of Motorola's industrial design language.
No, me neither.
It just feels like things could have been a little more holistic or seamless, I guess, in terms of how they were thinking about things. But it's super thin. It's kind of impressive how thin it is. And the other thing that really impressed me about it was, or surprised me about it, that didn't impress me about it, was that there isn't a removable battery, which is somewhat uncommon with Android phones. You tend to see most have replaceable or removable batteries, but with this, it's not an option.
Well, that raises a question. Is the does the Galaxy Nexus have a removable battery?
Yeah, you can remove the case on the back.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of a requirement with Android. I feel like this is the anti-Android. I love you, Android. It's just that my life has been so much better since I got an extra battery.
I just want to say,
which says a lot.
You can be negative, you can be positive. This is not the fanboy show. This is where we honestly talk about our warts and all. There are no flawless products in the world, and we can say negative things about anything.
No, that's true. That's true. I feel pretty strongly about wanting a removable battery.
I agree.
In my phone.
And I can tell you right now, the first thing I ordered with my iPhone, by the way, iOS 5 has much worse battery life.
Really?
Yeah. Is a big old Mophie case, a mofo case that has
because my 4 has actually been okay.
4 is pretty good. The 4 was the best of the bunch. It bested any Android phone, I think. But not with the with iOS 5. And I'll be curious if you put iOS 5 on it, if you notice deteriorated battery life, or if it's the 4S. I suspect it's iOS 5, right, Peter? People are saying.
Yeah, Ryan Block was complaining about this, where he put iOS 5 on his iPad and I think on his iPhone, and just in standby mode, the battery was dying. I have an iPad too, and I haven't noticed that problem with the battery life. And it sounds like it's maybe 5 or 10% of people.
There's a theory that it's the my friends thing. That it's just always looking for friends.
Find my friends.
Find my friend. Always looking. And there are Android apps that'll do that. It'll just kill your battery life like that. If you turn on the GPS feature on Evernote, for instance. And by the way, it's not just Find My Friends, but the reminder also is watching where you are, because reminders, if you could set a reminder on the iPhone that says, if I'm at the grocery store, let me know to buy milk. And that's a cool feature. But of course, those things are, the GPS on Evernote, it's constantly looking where you are. That's going to deplete the battery life.
Yeah.
So maybe that's all it is. It's just if you turn off those features. We'll have to test.
It's possible. And, in my experience, it always takes an update to fully optimize.
Right.
So it doesn't matter. Apple, Android, whoever, usually the first out the gate version, the release version, it still needs some optimization in terms of battery life. But
I'm with you, Gina. The first thing I buy is another battery. And then what I like to buy is a USB charger so I can keep that battery charging inside the phone. Because otherwise you have to kind of wake up in the middle of the night and put a new battery in.
Right.
Which I've also done, I admit.
You need to sleep better.
It's 2 a.m. I better change the battery.
Better change the battery.
Actually, it's got, well, see, okay, so, I had children. You had to change their diapers. Now I get up in the middle of the night and I change, I rearrange plugs and get all my things, chargers evened out.
You heat up some more milk for your Android tablet.
You gotta have a new battery in there. And so that's what I do in the middle of the night. Just the old habits die hard, I guess.
My mom just started carrying a cell phone like pretty regularly. She's been kind of slow to adopt technology, but has figured out that I'm more likely to text her than call her.
Right.
But we had this funny conversation where she was like, the battery keeps running out. And I said, well, when, how often do you plug it in? And she's like, maybe like once a week. Or, am I going to have to do this every night? And I was like, Mom, yeah, you're going to have to do it every night. She's like, this is just a thing that you do? My God. She was like appalled at what was involved in like using a cell phone.
By the way, I love that picture of you and your mom and your wife on the beach. I saw that on Facebook. Very cute. Very cute picture. No, I think you're right. Normal people are shocked that you have to plug it in every night. I hear that all the time.
Life? This is what you do?
Yes. I have a beautiful gadget charging station in my home. So all...
Yeah, I have one on my desk.
Right. So you get in, you empty in your pockets, you put all of the gadgets, you plug them all in, and that's why in the middle of the night I get up and I say, how you doing?
My wireless power is going to be so awesome, right?
Yeah. When's that happening?
Well, you can get actually phones with the wireless the inductive charging backs now.
Yeah, but you have to put those big ass backs on them.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, but they'll get smaller over time, and it's just we're the very early days of it.
I agree with you. Inductive. That was the thing about the Pre that I liked so much.
Yeah, and that was the great thing about the Pre, right? So it can be done. It'll get there. I think Verizon is actually like mandating it as an option for a lot of the. Obviously not for Apple, but
right.
For
we
I think
built a charging shelf into when we redid our mudroom. As soon as you get into the garage, there's a closet there, and there's a shelf that's nothing but plugs across.
Brilliant.
That's handy. I like that.
And I do like it.
Lifehacker got all kinds of mileage out of charging station hacks. I binder clips, like to the side of my desk that the wire doesn't fall off.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, on the cheap.
I'm glad that everything's moving to these micro USB because at least you don't have to have different chargers anymore. You just have, I have in my desk in the other office, I have 6 micro USB things, and I just plug in stuff as I get there. Okay. Have we covered everything you want to say about ice cream sandwich?
I think ultimately the thing that I want the most from Ice Cream Sandwich is just a really stable OS that never crashes, that never stutters. I want the keyboard to know, to not screw up. I don't want to have to hit the backspace key very much. I just want it to work really, really well. I never want to have to think about lag or get the force close pop up. So that I think is really what everyone wants, not these wow features. So fingers crossed that Ice Cream Sandwich gets closer to that. I completely agree with you. Although I have to say that sometimes it's the hardware. This LG G2X random reboots. I went to the Galaxy S2. That's been really stable. So yeah, that's why I stick with the Nexus line, because it's like this is Google worked with these people. Like this is how it's supposed to be. This is their vision of how it's supposed to be. So that's why I am tempted. I am tempted by the Galaxy Nexus, even though I have to force myself to get the name right. But you're right. Sometimes it is hardware. It's true. But these Nexus phones kind of are supposed to set the bar of what the experience is supposed to be.
Right.
Although I agree with Peter. Peter makes a great point. Is that your first release. It's going to be a little, you really do want to kind of wait to the first update. So I'm hoping around January, when my contract is up, things will be stable, as stable as they're going to be with ICS. So fingers crossed.
Steve, maybe you should consider a Windows phone, because Steve Ballmer says you don't have to be. Oh, you are a computer scientist. Never mind. You don't have to be. You don't have to be a computer scientist, says Mr. Ballmer, to use a Windows phone, but you do to use an Android phone. So that's why Gina likes it so much. Are you a computer scientist? No, Jeff's
Which one of us are you pointing at?
Either one of you. Neither one of you.
I have a master's in English.
Yeah, master's in English. Yeah, no,
nice.
Ballmer's
I'm
just
totally
struggling.
unqualified to talk about technology.
But you can write really well. He says, I just can't get excited about Android phones.
It'd be weird if he said the opposite, though, right?
That's true.
It's like, I'm super excited. I just won't use them.
And of course, his track record with picking phones has been horrible. You know, he said the iPhone's going to be a flop. It's too expensive. Nobody will ever want it. Not the guy to listen to. You know, I am withholding judgment till I see the new Nokia, the C-Ray with the mango on there. That might be a good phone. I'm starting to think that the big three are going to be the iPhone 4S, the Galaxy Prime, and a mango C-Ray phone.
Nexus.
Do you? What did I say? Galaxy Prime.
The Galaxy Prime.
The C-Ray Prime.
C-Ray Prime. Have you seen a C-Ray? Do you know anything about the C-Ray at any time?
I think it looks a lot like the
it's the
N9.
It's the N9, yeah.
Yeah, it's similar. I mean, and from what I've heard from both Microsoft and Nokia, that this is really just going to be like the first thing. It's not, you know, what we'll see like the really great Windows phones from Nokia next year.
Oh, too late.
Yeah, no, I know.
The world will have decided by then, Nokia.
Yeah.
Might want to hurry that up a little bit.
Could be worse. You could be RIM.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That was terrible. So last week, RIM's out for, what, 3 days globally? Or as one gadget blog put it, on all the planets. And so their response this week is, well, we're going to give you $100 worth of software, and if you're a corporation, we'll give you some free tech support. It is just getting worse and worse. I'm starting to feel bad for them.
I listen to Radio Canada on CBC on Sirius all the time because they have good programs. And they're covering RIM like it's really a story because they have to, because it's like a national requirement.
Yeah.
It's just so sad.
It's a Canadian company in Waterloo. It was my first smartphone. Probably all of our first smartphones were BlackBerries, right?
No, I had a Trio.
Trio.
I
love my Trio.
Trio 600.
Well, I had Palms. I probably had a Trio, yeah. And then the Trio, but the Trio became Windows Phone. That's right. That was awful.
Yeah, that was the stopgap for them.
Oh my God, that was awful.
You know, RIM is, I mean, not to get on a crazy tangent, but that company, the co-CEOs should be fired. I mean, these guys are in complete denial. Whatever they were able to lead the company to success before, they're clearly not able to take it to where it needs to go now.
Yeah.
And they're executing way too slowly. The products are not exciting. And I think they completely overvalued their core asset, which is this whole, like, basically how well, you know, BlackBerries do email.
Right.
And the security stuff. And I think that they found that, you know, consumers are valuing those things differently, and that even the enterprise their enterprise customers are, you know, able to find, get parity from other products, right?
And what I think that they did not count on was that the employee would start choosing the handset, not the employer. I think that's what really broke for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Well said. Well, it's kind of an IBM Microsoft thing, too.
Yeah. Well, even Apple. You know, Apple started sneaking into enterprise because employees brought them in.
Insisted, yes.
And I think that's really what happened is employees said, no, I'm not using that crappy phone. I'm using an iPhone.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, you were able to get a quality, you know, exchange experience on an iPhone or on an Android phone.
That was critical when that happened, actually.
Yeah. Though, you know, I mean, I still know people that work at companies and that use BlackBerries because their company won't support, you know, their CIO doesn't think that Android or iPhone is secure enough yet.
I believe one of those companies is the United States government, which is probably single-handedly keeping RIM alive.
That's entirely possible.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, I'm going to take a break. We'll come back. We're going to talk about the music store. We can talk a little about YouTube, too. There's actually quite a bit to talk about. This drives me crazy. Those poor kids, I don't know, the Facebook thing in England, right?
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about? There's two kids who didn't commit I mean, all they did was they incited on their Facebook page. They said, yeah, let's have a riot. By the way, the riot didn't happen.
Yep.
People who, you know, stole TVs got 6 months. These two guys,
4 years.
4 years in jail for going on Facebook and saying, hey, let's have a riot. Hey.
What the?
They have a different attitude toward free speech over there.
Yeah, they do, don't they? This is UK.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. They cut sentences for 3 people convicted of handling stolen goods. But the guys who made their status update, party. That's it. You're out of here. Wow. It was. They said it was utterly shocking and wholly inexcusable. Wow. All right, we're going to take a break. It was kind of stunning. So good to have Jeff Jarvis here from the Buzz Machine, buzzmachine.com. His new book, Public Parts. I'm reading it, loving it. It's a manifesto, isn't it?
It tries to be, yes.
For living in public, making the case for something that Jeff and I do anyway, without a choice. Love it. If you haven't read it yet, get it. Get it. Amazon.com. Of course, Gina Trapani from smarterware.org and our good friend Peter Rojas from GT. He calls it gadget.com.
Yeah, it's simpler that way.
It is, isn't it? Before we go on, though, I do want to talk a little bit about our friends at Ford. They're back, baby. In fact, we're going to have a barbecue soon. We're going to have a couple of Ford barbecues, and I'll give you the dates and everything. And we're going to have, I think we can allow 50 people, so we'll have like some lottery system. And we'll be during the TWiT show on Sunday. We'll have a barbecue. We'll have these great Ford cars, and you'll be able to come and see the cars, have some ribs, watch TWiT.
Burritos.
Should we have some Chipotle at the barbecue?
I think you should have your own competitive.
Yes. Twitpotle.
Twitritos.
Twitritos.
With good guacamole.
Yes. I'm going to get Gina's mom's. Is it your mom or your recipe?
It's no, not my mom. My mom's got the Italian down.
That's
my
right.
wife opinion. My wife is opinionated about Mexican, so it'll be.
No, in fact, you should. You should always have an opinion about guacamole.
Yeah.
Always. It's key. Salsa and guacamole. It's key. But before we go on with that, let's talk a little about Ford. Ford now, actually, I'm sure Ford would love to get Peter Rojas to start covering Ford vehicles as consumer electronics devices, because that's really how they're starting to think about it. It's pretty amazing. They just added Wi-Fi. So, you know, if you got the available sync in My Ford Touch in your car, and a lot of them do, but I do in mine, you've got a USB slot. The Edge that I rented in San Diego had 2 USB slots. You take one of those slots, you put one of those 3G cards in there, and now the car itself has a Wi-Fi access spot with WAP and everything, and everybody in the car has access to the internet via Wi-Fi through the Ford. I mean, it's just little things like that. They've got apps now. I love the attention to detail. For instance, this is something I used in San Diego. They you know, on the My Ford Touch, you can set cruise control. But instead of just saying, oh, whatever that is now, remember that, you actually can do it by the speeds. You can set it to 65 miles an hour and leave it there. Or in my case, 78 miles an hour, because I'm a scofflaw. It's just great. The performance in the engines now, these new electric cars, I'm waiting for that Focus. You got to try the new Focus, has that Wi-Fi built in. And really amazing, even the gasoline engines, so efficient. Ford is taking technology seriously. You can find out more at Ford.com/technology. Ford.com/technology. Just take a look at all the amazing little features that add up to a great automotive experience. And really got to try the sync with My Ford Touch. I had to laugh at Siri because half the things Siri does, I've been doing in my car. You know, set the temperature for 72 degrees. What's the traffic like ahead? Where's a gas station? All this I could tell my car with Ford Sync. It's amazing. Ford.com/technology. We thank them for their support. And stay tuned for news about the barbecue coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, what else is in the news here? It's really consumed by ice cream sandwich, but there are a few other things we could talk about. Google is now turning on SSL on all searches. That started today.
Yeah, by default, if you're signed in, yeah.
This is something that probably I don't care if somebody spies on my search results. However, I think it's kind of it's making a statement.
That's really more.
Yes.
That all web traffic should be encrypted going forward, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, SSL as the default versus above and beyond. You know, not just for credit card numbers anymore.
Right. I think our systems are fast enough. That's not a burden.
And it comes at the same time that Google started their Good to Know page, which is about privacy and about all that. I think they're trying to, much harder now. I spoke at Google last week, and I didn't even know it was Privacy Week. But they're trying to put out core principles and trying to be more protective, I think.
This is, I think, very nicely done.
It is.
And I'm going to start this Good to Know page. It's google.com/good to know, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to start referring listeners on the radio show, because that's who, look, you guys all know all this stuff. Use a unique password, use a long password, and so forth. But this is a really nice English language, not highly engineering way of describing a lot of the things that are really good. Like, this is a tip I've been using for a long time. Use a line from a song, film, or play, and use the letters. Mm-hmm. I do this all the time, and it's a really great way to protect yourself. And just it makes it accessible and easy. So yeah, good on Google. And I think you're right. I think for whatever reason, maybe it's because they're sensitive after the FTC investigations or whatever. But for whatever reason, Google's fighting the good fight. I think it's because they're engineers and they know what's right and they want everybody to do it.
Yeah,
that's what.
It's probably a little bit of all of it, right?
I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. So what do we know about the Google Music Store? Now, we've been using Google Music in beta for some time. Still private beta, right? You have to get an invite?
I believe so.
I actually love it. But I think it's very similar to Amazon with one big exception. You can't buy anything.
Yeah.
So Google needs to have a store, and the rumors are, All Things D says, it's coming soon, and coming soon with a twist.
Did Facebook do them a favor there that now you can buy through Amazon, you can buy through iTunes, and now with Facebook too, as a social means of discovery leading to purchase? They're kind of foolish to leave Google out now.
Yeah. Well, I think the music industry has wanted to balance iTunes' dominance for some time. Exactly. So at All Things D, Andy Rubin, who said quite a few things on stage with Walt Mossberg. By the way, Kara Swisher, who was supposed to be on stage for this Asian All Things D, had a little ischemic incident, she said. And we wish you the best, Kara, because we love you. And
scary, but she's blogging like mad from the hospital room in Hong Kong. So.
Thank goodness.
You cannot shut Kara Swisher up.
No, you cannot.
She got her voice back.
Love that about her.
Anyway, so she says, make sure when you're on a long flight, walk around and drink plenty of fluids.
I love that she blamed the two big dudes sitting next to her. That was awesome.
I could just see that. Anyway.
Down and being, hello, ladies.
So,
anyway.
So she's not on stage, but Walt is, and Andy Rubin joined him, and he confirmed for the first time that there will be a Google Music Store, and I think we're close, he said. He says Google will have a little twist. It will have a little Google in it. Whatever that means.
I thought the twist, I don't know, I thought it was a reference to Double Twist.
Oh,
I didn't see that. I thought he was just trying to say
I don't know. I mean, I just reading between the lines. I don't know if there's anything to that, but Double Twist is sort of the client of choice for managing your media if you're an Android user, and
I actually
maybe they're
love
acquiring
Double
Twist. I mean, you can imagine Double Twist combined with Google Music Streaming, combined with an MP3 store.
Google Double Twist also has Wi-Fi syncing.
Yep.
Which, of course, Apple's touting.
Finally.
He says
but I have no inside information. I don't know.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
No, I like where you're going with that. That's
good rumor. Let's start.
Yeah.
Maybe you just started it, Peter.
Yeah.
Google with Double
We didn't
Twist.
think of that either. Let's buy them.
Because if I'm wrong, I don't want to get blamed for it.
Ryan thought of that.
It's all Ryan.
It says we won't just be selling 99-cent tracks. What does that mean?
They're selling albums.
Yeah. Well, nobody's just selling 99-cent tracks.
I mean, maybe they're going to do a Spotify, competitor.
Oh.
I don't know. I mean, it's tough because they really, when they launched the Google Music Locker thing, they did that without licenses, and they kind of pissed off the label. So I'm not sure they're going to be able to pull something like that off. But that is kind of the holy grail, right? It's something that combines the locker with the streaming with the store.
He says they don't get us. Media companies don't get what we're up to. He compared it to how Apple changed and evolved He says Google is evolving as well. It's in the very, very early phases of adding consumer products to our portfolio. The media industry didn't see us as that. They saw us as a search company. No, actually, we saw you as an advertising company. But it is interesting. Perhaps, I don't know, a lot of question marks from that.
I wonder if it'll be a Facebook, Spotify type thing where you're on Google Plus and you can see what other people are listening, see what your friends are listening to, and perhaps stream friends track somehow. That's interesting. I mean, the Android market has a books tab, a movies tab, and an apps tab. I mean, it's missing a music tab. Although I don't know, maybe this will be completely separate from the Android market.
What if? Okay, wild rumors. What if they're going to partner? You know, the Skype deal went through. Skype is now wholly owned by Microsoft. So the founders of Skype are just kind of wandering around. They started a new service. Remember, they started Rdio. They now have Video, which is a Netflix competitor. I love Don Draper just kind of sitting there looking.
Doing what he does.
Thinking. He's coming up with a tagline any moment now.
Looking dashing and thoughtful.
It's like the greatest webpage. I just want to leave that up.
Who doesn't want to look at John Hamm?
Kind of a mean version of Gina's face being frozen.
But every once in a while he scratches his palm and looks around.
He's coming up with brilliant thoughts.
He's thinking things.
And the ash never falls.
And the ash never falls. And I can't click anything. Well, I can. Oh, wait a minute. I can log in using. So I'm really wondering if maybe something like that. Maybe they're talking movies, TV shows, as well as music. And maybe, and I love the idea of maybe they're talking about a streaming service.
That'd be cool.
Just a thought. We're going to start rumors. We don't know what they're doing. And
I like the double twist rumor.
I love that. I think that's the one we're going to go with.
Oh, we'll see.
He said a twist. He said with a twist.
And
Andy started it.
And now we know what John Hamm was thinking this whole time. I'm sorry, but you can't have this.
UK only.
You can't handle the video. UK only. Oh, well. I'm just going to leave that on my screen. I like it. He's thinking. Moving along here. Let's see what else. You see anything else you really want to talk about here? Or should
I should, with the full disclosure that I am a nano, micro, mini, tiny investor in it. Bill Gross, Uber Media started Chime In.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they have a new site, chime.in.
Which I think the best way to describe it is that you can I'm probably not supposed to describe it this way, but I will anyway. It's much richer tweets that can still feed Twitter and still feed eventually Google Plus and Facebook and so on.
He made noise for a while about making a Twitter competitor, and Twitter kind of slapped him down.
He says this is not. This will feed both ways. But what this allows, they're pitching this as an interest network so that you can filter better and find your interests better rather than just following people wholesale. So when Scoble writes about technology, you can find that part of Scoble.
Yeah. And they're smart. They got Trey Ratcliffe. They probably chased him down. Who's breaking up there?
I think it's me.
Who's that? All right, I'm going to sign in here real quickly. I think it is you, Jeff.
No, it's not. I think it might be Gina. I just turned her.
Is it? Sorry about that.
Doesn't matter.
It's your razor burn. That's what I think I got.
Hey, somebody already has Leo Laporte. Oh.
No.
Well, man, it says that we've reserved it.
Oh, I'm sure it's for you.
Authorize it. Oh, you know what they do? They reserve it because it's my Twitter handle. So I signed it through
Right,
Facebook.
that's what they did. Yeah. They can't really do the same thing, but they can reserve it so you can have a support here.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, I think this is going to be interesting.
It is, and companies can come in and create their own pages, and you can create a page there where you can sell all the advertising yourself, but if you don't sell it, Chime In will sell it, and they split the revenue.
Oh, I like Bill. He always has a business model.
Leave it to Bill. He's got a business model.
Yeah. He's not gonna leave that low hanging fruit lying there. What do you think about Chris Poole, Moot? Who he said anonymity is important. Of course, Moot runs 4chan.
Yeah.
And where anonymity has given rise to, well, some of the most ill-behaved people on the internet.
Well, and he puts down Facebook, but then he uses Facebook authentication for his new service and says that it does improve things.
Yeah, Canvas, his new thing. Oh, it does filter out trolls and spammers, but he does make a good point. We all have multiple identities. It's part of being human. It's good to have options and have multiple identities. Facebook and Google, he says, do identity wrong. Twitter does it better, and I want to think about what the world would be if we did it right. Okay, I'm not sure I'd ask Moot. Facebook power users have left Twitter, says Sean Parker.
Well, Sean Parker saying that, investor, former president?
What a shock.
Yeah.
He says Twitter or Google Plus.
I thought it was weird.
Yeah.
Are there any numbers to back that up?
No.
No.
No, it's
In
strictly...
fact, Twitter, Dick Costolo announced at Web 2.0 that Twitter now has 250 million tweets a day, and that because of the iPhone Twitter integration in the new 4S, that they had triple the number of signups in the last few weeks, and that this is, I thought, the most interesting, 50% of their 100 million users are on every day now. So that was one of the things people thought about Twitter. Well, there are a lot of accounts, but how much do people really use it? 50% every day.
Wow.
That is a really high number of active users.
No kidding.
That's extremely high.
And I think a lot of it is the mainstreaming of Twitter, because you see now, I'm shocked, almost every TV show has a hashtag.
Every TV show, hashtag, and news people all have their Twitter handle up. Reality shows, it always seems like there's a hashtag, or even people watching live and taking questions while, I mean, even some of the Glee stars do this, right? Like, okay,
there we go, drinking game.
Sorry, drink.
Well, we already did Chipotle. We might as well get Glee in there. Now you can really be toasted.
By the way, there was an interesting Reuters article that I think is in the list via Huffington Post of a study they did of backing up on Occupy Wall Street hashtag.
You started it with F Washington, by the way.
Well, I didn't start it, but it was actually, they were separated at birth. It was the first English language use of it, they said, was just FU Washington and Occupy Wall Street together. I remember that tweet. Yep. Somebody did. And but it's really fascinating to see how it spread and where it spread. New York has really spread it really rapidly. And I love that kind of analysis now of where that goes.
Do you think Occupy Wall Street is our Arab Spring?
I think that'd be imbuing an awful lot into it. The problem
it isn't yet.
Well, no, I think what it is overarching expression of anger. And people are frustrated that it has no clear goal, but that's the point of a hashtag. A hashtag has no owner. It has no creed. We put into it what we want to put into it. And now I think that the movement, which is a hashtag movement, has to figure out where it's headed. I don't think it has to have a set of goals. I think that'd be a mistake. I think it needs to basically have a tweet. It needs to have a line. One of my colleagues at CUNY said it just should be level playing field. But, whatever it is, kind of this is what we want in a society, and we're not there. But right now, it's this kind of, now it's the object of fun. Last night, John Oliver on, I don't know if you can find it quickly, it was just brilliant, on Daily Show, went and mocked the human microphone. He mocked the human microphone. And it was just absolutely brilliant. And Howard Stern sent down his guys to interview them and asked one of them, "Why are you here?" And so there's serious anger, there's serious issues, there's serious stuff, and God bless these people for starting it. But I almost feel like it's got to move off the street and back onto Twitter for a real discussion.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah,
somebody said it's very meta.
Involved. It is meta.
It's somebody in the chat room said that basically. It's the hashtag revolt. It's easy. I mean, let's face it. That's a very easy way to protest. Just use a hashtag.
Yeah, it is.
The proof.
I did it over wine.
Yeah.
I went down there on Monday. I was in New York, and it was cool to see that the place on Foursquare was the hashtag. You know, there was no, the name was the hashtag.
Oh, I like that.
Interesting. Yeah. It was very clear how to talk about it.
Yeah. That's clever.
Yeah.
Somebody smart's doing all of this. Somebody social media smart.
Just to let you guys know, looks like Sergey and Vic are on stage at Web 2.0.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what they're all talking about. Oh,
they're
maybe
done.
they're
They
done.
just finished. Yeah. No, the chat room was telling me about it, and I saw it. And I didn't know. I didn't want to send everybody there.
Well, they're done anyways.
Good. Watch it later. Don't watch it now. Dennis Crowley, this is Web 2.0 Summit. Dennis Crowley talking says that maybe Foursquare won't be doing check-ins too much going forward.
Have you guys used the new? Any of you used?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So
the new that radar feature.
Yeah. So the idea is when you turn it on, it lets you know not only if people that you are following are nearby, but also things on your lists to do. And so I've joined a lot of lists because I don't want to miss the best ice cream in Southern California, right? Or the best guacamole.
But is it draining your battery, constantly checking? Is it checking you in?
You know, baby, I bought the biggest. I practically carry a car battery with me. I don't care. I want all those features. I don't care. Battery life, schmattery life. I'm sure.
What does this do for you, Gina? I mean, is it going to be is going to be telling the world where you are all the time?
Well, it watches where I am, and then I mean, so Crowley was saying that Foursquare's biggest challenge is getting sort of curious users, turning them into active users, right? Because when you go someplace, you have to launch the app. You have to remember to take out your phone, launch the app, and check in. So going into passivity, right, where the app just monitors where you are and then lets you know if your friends are nearby or whatever. I have to say, I love seeing Leo in my nearby list when he was in San Diego.
I am. I know.
Yeah, that was really neat. It was really neat.
And I check in everywhere. I always check in. I love doing that.
Yeah, it's cool, but I don't know. I still feel weird about having an app, map my, unless it's my tracks and I'm saying I'm going for a run, track where I am. Not only the battery issue, but just kind of I know. I'm gonna have to get a privacy or publicist talking to about this.
You're frozen, Gina, and he's frozen too.
Frozen again. Skype doesn't like me. I think as soon as I start talking about creepy privacy things, Skype just.
This is a great shot, though. You look so cute.
It is.
So cute.
I've done worse, I guess.
I have to say, we are living a terrible time, and I blame you, Peter Rojas, for all of this, because everywhere you go, including San Diego, like the San Diego Zoo, there's giraffes mating over there, and everybody's going like this. Looking at their phone.
Yeah, it's funny because I was I had a smartphone in like 2003, and I remember doing email and on the web and like watching video on my phone and stuff like that, and people were like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, you know what? In a few years, you're all going to be doing exactly
future. I am future you, and they all are.
Yeah,
it's amazing how people are buried in screens nowadays. All right, we're going to get Gina back, and we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to get our tool tip and number of the week. But first, a tip for you, Netflix.com. That's it. If you're not, I don't even know why we have to do ads for these guys. They decided not to split off the Quickster thing, but forget the DVD. Do the $7.99 a month thing. It is the best deal in video. Yeah, people say to me, well, they don't have everything, but they got so much. Who cares? I don't even plan ahead. I go home at night. I fire up Netflix. I just got the Western Digital Live. That's got it. Apple TV's got it. Google TV's got it. I'm updating that. Boxy Box has it. Many Blu-ray players, most TVs, of course, your iPad, your iPhone, your Android phone, they all have Netflix. That means with streaming, you'll watch stuff anytime you want. And look at all the great stuff they've got. Walking Dead, you can go back and watch last season before you watch this season. 30 Rock, The Office, Parks and Rec, Mad Men. Great documentaries. I am a big fan of the documentaries, most of which you don't get to see. And so this is just, it's impulse watching. The Kid Stays in the Picture. What a great movie that is. There's just so much great stuff here. Would you give it a try? Free, no cost. Just go to netflix.com/twit. If you decide to keep it, it's $7 The Art of Makeup Effects. Wow, that looks good. $7.99 a month. Netflix.com/twit. And if you already have it, do me a favor. Just, throw open the window and shout it out. Tell everybody in your neighborhood. Netflix.com/twit. All right, Gina Trapani has our tool of the week.
Tip of the week is...
Tip. I'm the tool. You're the tip.
If you haven't logged into Google Docs and looked at presentations in a while...
I love it, I love it, I love it.
Yeah, do so. Google rolled out a bunch of improvements, live collaboration, so you can watch, you can build a presentation with your coworkers and watch character by character real-time typing, very Wave-like, very regular Google Docs-like right now. You can do animations and charts and tables, and you can do transitions between slides. You know, I can't stand PowerPoint, and I started to use Keynote a little bit more, but I have to say now with this upgrade, and you'll get a little prompt when you log into Google Docs and go to presentations to enable the new presentation editor. This looks really nice. I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure if presentations has offline. This is my only worry about doing presentations in Google Docs, is that you're going to get to, in front of the room at the podium, and then you're going to lose your connection, right? So I think that's kind of the last thing here. But yeah, log into Google Docs and check out the new presentation editor. It's pretty cool.
It is very cool. I really like it a lot. I was so impressed. And by the way, I love how the Google Docs team, or the presentation team, is using this new Blogger template, the dynamic template.
Isn't it so cool?
It is beautiful.
It is. I spent more time, I think, switching between the layouts for this Blogger template than actually reading the post. This is really, really neat. I really like the magazine version. There's on the Docs blog, there's a little switcher you can check out. I guess these are new Blogger templates.
Yeah, and in fact, you could turn it on. I have a Blogger. Actually, it was a Blogger account I set up to show off Google Wave's integration with Blogger, and so I never use it. But now you've got all these. I turn it on, and the dynamic templates. It makes me want to use it for my blog.
Yeah, me too.
It's incredible. You could do Flipkart magazine. I mean, they're very Ajax-y. They're really quite beautiful. There's the flip card. Here's the magazine. This is all the same blog content, just different CSS styles that they apply to it. Mosaic, time slide, which is kind of cool. So I'm actually kind of tempted to use this for my blog. It's pretty impressive. Huh? Jeff Jarvis, your number of the week.
I had a panic because it wasn't in the list, but it's on my screen, thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
When we had 3 days of no BlackBerry in the world, one unintended consequences was that traffic accidents in Abu Dhabi went down by 40%.
No.
And in Dubai went down by 20%.
Oh, my goodness. That is kind of interesting.
It is.
You think it's a bunch of people been typing all this time?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Wow. I'm going to
Freakonomics, I should add.
Peter. I don't want to leave you out of this. If there's any tool or tip or something having to do with Google or the cloud that you'd like to share with us.
Now I'm under pressure.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't prepare you for this, and I apologize.
I just installed the new Dolphin browser on my phone. The Dolphin Browser HD.
Yeah.
Just came out. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Really, really nice.
I've been using it for quite some time.
It's free.
Yeah. There are actually a number of, I use Xscope as well. There are a number of good browsers, alternatives. That's one thing that, didn't Ice Cream Sandwich, wasn't it supposed to have Chrome? Or that was the rumor?
It has, it syncs your bookmarks to the desktop. So I use Dolphin. I love Dolphin, mostly because you can install a LastPass extension in it, which is super useful because I never remember passwords at this point. LastPass does them. But now that the default browser in ICS, syncs bookmarks to desktop Chrome, that's huge. So that's kind of nice. But Dolphin is really cool. I switched over ever since Eileen and the crew at AAA convinced me.
So we're now all in agreement that is the browser to use. Everybody, AA agrees.
Overwhelmingly so.
Overwhelming agreement. I
at
like
least our
Xscope.
audience.
Have you tried Xscope?
I've tried Xscope.
I've used both.
Dolphin. You still prefer Dolphin?
Oh, I just installed Dolphin HD today, so I got to give it a few days.
All right. I'm stalling a little bit because I don't have my Galaxy S2 with me, and that has this cool program that I really wanted to show you that's a heads-up display for Android. Now, the program is free. They want you to buy or they encourage you to buy a little thing to put it on your dashboard. But what it does, it's a augmented reality display that you use when you're driving. And it tells you how far away the car is from you. It warns you. It beeps if you get too close. It's actually watching what's going on outside as you drive. And I wanted to show it to you. It's called Eye on Road, but I can't. So all I can say is download. It's the letter I, ONROAD.com. I guess it really couldn't show you because you have to.
So you're going to get into an accident watching this thing.
You do. That's why you need to get the. That's why they really encourage you to get the stand. Because
that looks dangerous as hell.
This is crazy. This uses GPS to do these measurements?
It uses the camera and GPS and motion detection. It does image recognition. It sees the car. It tells you how fast the car in front of you is going. How many, if you have, it gives you, do you have, see the green there? That's sufficient distance.
This you get too close, it sounds like your wife shrieking.
It does. Well, I don't know. This is so... Here, let me play... I guess I can play the video. This is actually probably better because I couldn't really demonstrate this in my car, could I? And it's free.
The audio's not so good on your...
It's not very loud, is it? Well, we'll just talk about it. But so, the thing is free, but as I said, that what they really is a come-on for getting a clamp so that you don't, in fact, hold this up as you're driving.
Yeah, this is a commercial for a clamp and a USB...
right.
A charger. A car charger, yeah.
But you know what? Many people may have these already. I'm sure Peter Rojas has 15 of them in his gadget drawer. But this is really, I just think this is a very interesting application of what smartphones can do, and it's a heads-up display. So let's hope it'll keep you out of accidents. It will literally. I just think it's kind of cool that you know how far ahead of you that car is.
If you can't have a self-driving car, I guess this is the next best thing.
Isn't that amazing?
It looks really neat. Huh.
Eye on Road. And it really is nice to have on a bigger display like the Galaxy S2.
It's got to be illegal as hell.
No, you know why? The chat room, holy cow, the chat room got it right. He said no, because it keeps you from texting. So, so that's why it's safer. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, I just thought that was really cool. And it'll tell you if you're drifting out of the lane and all of that stuff, too. Eye on Road free. Try it. Give us your impression. If you get in an accident, it's not my fault. One of the things I liked about it is that it's an example of how there's so much innovation on this platform happening. Some very interesting things that people are using. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed this show. I love doing it every week. I look forward to it. I missed it last week. I thank Tom Merritt for... Was it Tom who did the show?
It was Ayaz.
I thank Ayaz Akhtar for filling in for me last week. And I thank you, Gina Trapani, for being here and not bugging me in San Diego.
It was hard not to bug you seeing you so close on FourSquare, but I'm glad you had a great vacation.
As I said, I waved when I drove by UCSD.
Good.
Hi, Gina.
I'm glad. I felt the wave.
It's easy to find Gina. She's at smarterware.org, and she's also at thinkupapp.com.
Yes.
Wonderful
Great show.
Person. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Jeff Jarvis. He is the professor of journalism, those lucky kids at the City University of New York. He's also blogging at buzzmachine.com. Both of you are on Google Plus all the time, of course, Jeff Jarvis, Gina Trapani. And the new book, Must Get, Must Have, Must Buy, Public Parts.
And I think I'm seeing you again shortly.
Triangulation. Jeff is on.
Are you our guest for Triangulation?
So sick of me.
Oh, I'm really... No. You know, one of the reasons we started to do this, we had Kevin Marks last week, of course, or 2 weeks ago. Of course, Mr. Jobs passed away, and we actually didn't finish that one.
Right.
But I really want to get these guys like you and Kevin, who are so interesting, on for the show, so that we can have some time to talk, because we don't really get to talk so much about public parts. So this will be fun. We'll do public parts. It'll just pretend it's part of your book tour.
That's fine.
Thank you.
That's going to be a good episode.
Yeah, I can't wait. That's Triangulation coming up at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, just about an hour from now on twit.tv. Peter Rojas, thank you for being here, too. GDGT.com. He's Peter Rojas on Twitter. Do you ever use the Google Plus?
I do. I think I have more followers on Google Plus now than I do on Twitter.
Isn't that amazing how that's happened?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, not sure who those people are, but
thank you for following me.
Thank you all for being here. We'll see you next time. We do this show every single Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. That would be 2000 UTC at twit.tv. Please stop by and say hi. And if you miss a show, I know we'd like you to watch the live show, but it's a work time and all that. Please download it. We've got audio and video available for you at the website. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time on This Week in Google. Bye-bye.